Overview. In this lesson, you will learn about irregular verbs and the use of tag-on questions. Explanation of tags on questions. Often, people change a statement into a question by adding a question that is attached to the end of the statement. For example, "It is cold, isn't it?" In this question, the speaker is telling the listener that it is cold. The speaker also expects a certain response from the listener. Can you guess what the expected response is? The listener was expected to agree with the speaker. We look at the question that has been added at the end of the statement. It is cold, isn't it? The questions that are added to the end are known as question tags or tag question. So, what are tag questions? Tag questions, also known as question tags, are questions that are added to the end of a statement. They often show that the speaker expects a certain answer. In other words, the question is asked in such a way that the answer is also assumed. Let us look at some more examples. You are tired, aren't you? Here, the speaker makes a statement, "You are tired," and then adds a question at the end of the statement, "Aren't you?" This indicates that the speaker assumes that the person is tired. Study these examples carefully. Can you make a list of some rules to follow when making tag questions? The video will be paused for a few minutes. Discuss what you think are the rules that should be followed when making tag questions. Do this with a partner. Make a list of these questions and rules together. Hint: pay attention to the way the verbs are used in the statement as well as in the tag question. You are growing up fast, aren't you? Think of the rules. Let's look at another one. Your father isn't feeling too well, is he? The car wasn't too damaged in the accident, was it? Do not forget to write your sentences and think about the rules. You can see this video well, can't you? Let's look at one more example. The food is hot enough, isn't it? We will now pause this video for a few minutes so you can think about the rules that you need to follow when making tag questions. Please make sure that you work with a partner and compare the rules with that person. Now that you have had a chance to think about the rules, let's take a look at what we think is important for you to be aware of. There are a few things we must be careful about when using question tags. If the statement is positive, the tag is negative. You are growing up fast, aren't you? Here, the verb are is positive. Therefore, the verb in the tag is negative, aren't. If the statement is negative, the tag is positive. Your father isn't feeling too well, is he? The verb isn't portrays a negative verb. Therefore, the verb in the tag is positive. The verb or the auxiliary in the tag must be the same verb or the auxiliary in the statement. Here, the verb was wasn't. Therefore, we change it to was in the tag question. You can see this video well, can't you? Can from the statement was changed to can't in the tag question. The food is hot enough, isn't it? Note how is stays positive. Therefore, isn't denotes the negative in the tag question. We will now do some exercises. The aim of this exercise is to practice the formation of question tags using auxiliaries. In order to do this exercise, you will need to work with a partner. First, you will read each conversation and think about the tag that you would put at the end of the statement. Let us begin with conversation A. It is a cold day. Blank.
Yes, it is very cold.
We have time to drink a cup of tea. Blank.
Not really. It is getting late.
Let's try conversation B. That isn't your jacket. Blank.
No, it isn't. But it looks like mine.
But these are your gloves. Blank.
Yes, they are.
Think about the tag questions that you would ask at the end of these statements. Let's check the answers now. Begin with conversation A. It is a cold day, isn't it?
Yes, it is very cold.
We have time to drink a cup of tea, don't we?
Not really. It is getting late.
Let's work with conversation B again. That isn't your jacket, is it?
No, it isn't. But it looks like mine.
But these are your gloves, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
We will now look at irregular verbs. You have already learnt about verbs. You know that verbs tell us about the action of nouns. As actions take place in the present, past, and the future, verbs change their forms. Usually, when we use a verb in its past form, we add an ed to the base verb. For example, we take the base verb hug. When we talk about hug in the past, we say hugged, adding the ed. Smile changes to smiled. Bark changes to barked. Now there are many verbs in the English language where the spelling and the pronunciation differ in all three forms. The verbs whose spelling and pronunciation differ in all three forms are called irregular verbs. Irregular verbs are verbs which have a distinct past participle form. Although you will learn more about the past tenses later in this unit, you need to try and understand the basic idea of irregular verbs in this lesson. So now let us understand irregular verbs. There are three types of irregular verbs. The first one is where each of the three forms is different. Let's look at some examples now. Looking at the verb am in the present tense, we see that it changes to was in the past tense and been as the past participle. The verb draw changes to drew and drawn. The verb sing changes to sang and sung. The second type of irregular verbs are those where the three forms are the same. The verb stays the same in the present tense, past tense, as well as the past participle. Put, put, put. Hurt, hurt, hurt. Read, read, read. The third type of irregular verbs are those where two of the three forms are the same. Bring changes to brought and brought. Climb changes to climbed and stays as climbed as the past participle. Dance changes to danced and danced as the past participle. There are over 100 irregular verbs in the English language. It is very important to understand how they are used. You will find a list of irregular verbs in your reference reading material that goes with this lesson. Take some time now to read through and understand all of them. Let us recap what you have learned in this lesson. You learned the characteristics of tag-on questions and irregular verbs. You also created tag-on questions based on the verb in the base statement. You may now use this time to read the reference reading material that goes with this lesson. Thank you.